Am I in the wrong for not wanting to go to my sister's wedding after she secretly dated my fiance and got engaged to him? Story time. So I was engaged to my ex-fiance, who we'll call Steve, for 2 years. We were together for 5 in total, and we were supposed to get married last summer. And about 3 months before the wedding, I found out he had been cheating on me with someone. It was honestly devastating, as I'm sure you can imagine, and I called off the wedding immediately. Steve moved away shortly after we ended it, and I thought that was that. I thought he'd be gone from my life. Little rat. And honestly, I was absolutely heartbroken, but slowly but surely, I've moved on with my life. We fast forward to last month, I get a call from my sister. My little sister, who we'll call Amy. She says she has exciting news and she wants to come to my parents' house to tell everyone what it is. And that's when she drops the absolute bombshell that she is engaged to Steve. My head was spinning. What makes this all so much worse is that my parents had known for months. They had not told me to protect my feelings, and they actually thought I would feel happy for them eventually. Amy tried to justify it by saying her and Steve had fallen in love after we broke up. I don't think that makes it any better, babe. And on the spot, I told them that I wanted absolutely nothing to do with their wedding, and I stormed out. Since then, Amy has been bombarding me with calls saying that true love is hard to find and it's rare. So when you find it, you've got to keep it. Well, girl, I tried to keep it, but he cheated on me. So now the wedding is in a couple of months, bearing in mind this is only a year after he was supposed to marry me. My parents are threatening to cut me off financially if I don't attend her wedding. And to add insult to injury, Amy recently asked me to be her maid of honour. Are you dumb in the brain, Amy? What the heck? Good idea. What? These stories, man, they cause my stress levels to rise. She thinks that this will help rebuild our relationship. Now, the request has left me really torn. So what do you think I should do? Am I wrong for telling my husband's girl best friend that she will not be planning my baby shower? Story time. So my husband has a girl best friend who we will call Amy. Now, despite what you may be thinking, I actually quite like Amy. Since I found out I was pregnant though, I have had a couple of issues arise when it comes to Amy. We announced our pregnancy on social media and Amy texted Steve and said, "Congratulations, please pass it on to the mother." The mother? Okay, not a fan of that. And she has since been texting advice to Steve saying advice for the mother. I have a name, and this sometimes includes very targeted jabs at me. Now, I kept brushing this off. It got to the point where Steve and Amy's conversations became less about the baby and more about me, which I was getting increasingly uncomfortable with him texting about me to another woman. I need a sponge. Why am I orange? Once everybody knew I was pregnant, I started to get on sending invites out for a baby shower. Next thing I know, I've got a text from Amy. She says something along the lines of this. "Hi babe, shut up. You've been calling me mother for the past 6 months, so, you know, shut up." She basically was asking and saying how she was really wanting to host the baby shower for Steve. But I told her politely that my mum was wanting to plan it and she'd been really looking forward to it. So Amy didn't reply to that message, or maybe she's just been a little bit touchy. No, she wasn't. She just ignored the message and came over to my house the next day, insisting that we should start planning. Plan who, what, where, and why. So she sits down at my kitchen table and just whips out this folder, which has page after page after page of plans. I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, girl, you're gonna have to leave because like my mum's already planned it." Amy turns around to me and says, "Oh, don't worry, it'll be better if I do it." Strange behaviour. And I was like, "What makes you say that then?" She's like, "Oh," she said this with Chess, by the way, "I'm just better at cooking than your mum and your sister." She looks at me. She says, "Fine, but it won't be a good event." I blew up at her. I told her she can leave my house. I don't want her planning skills. I don't want her advice on how to treat my own body. I just swiftly asked her to leave my house. That night, Steve's phone blew up. Amy's like to Steve, "You had no right to show her the text that I had sent you." Why? Were you embarrassed by them, Amy? And she made a very clear point that she was just trying to make sure her best friend had a happy baby and a happy life. So now, honestly, I don't really know what to do because she just keeps butting in with everything. She isn't getting the message. Quite frankly, she's starting to scare me. Steve is on my side completely. You couldn't tell already, Amy is a little bit of a psycho. I am stuck on what to do. Please leave your suggestions in the comments.
I, 36 female, just found out that my husband, 43 male, was married when we started dating and had a child. What in the world do I do with this info? You leave him. Just kidding. Maybe. No, I'm not. My husband and I just celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary. We have a child together. Long story short, I recently found out that my husband was not only married when we started dating, but his divorce wasn't actually finalized until our son was almost 6 months old. This is eating me alive and I desperately need advice. I know the story sounds weird AF, but 6 years ago, I started dating this guy. He was from somewhere else, but he was in my town for a year-long military assignment. He told me he had a horrible ex-wife who cheated on him for over half of their 10-year-long marriage. I felt so bad for him, and all of his friends and family members corroborated his story and told me how great he was and how awful she was. Ugh, I hate when they get people to join in and validate the lies. This guy moved in with me very quickly because his room on base was super disgusting and moldy, and despite being on the Nuva ring, I ended up getting pregnant, and he proposed a few months later. It all happened super fast, but I was wildly in love and didn't think anything was wrong with my happy little family until one day, out of the total blue, I received a Facebook message from his ex-wife calling me a homewrecker and calling my newborn son a bastard. I was so confused. This guy was definitely not married when we started dating. Or so I thought. I never replied to her message, but I confronted my then fiance about it, and he assured me that she is crazy and she's the one who had cheated on him. Again, all of his friends and his mother verified his story, saying his ex-wife was a cheater and their marriage was 100% over when he and I got together. So anyway, flash forward to a couple of months ago, hubby and I just celebrated 4 years of marriage and I thought everything was great. I loved the life that we have built together, and I had entirely forgotten about the ex-wife thing. One day out of the blue, I had this weird feeling that I should check her Facebook page. Again, it had been years since I had even thought about this woman, and I have no idea what compelled me to check her page. I guess women are crazy, lol. So anyway, I went to her page, and several months before, she had written this awful, scathing post about me, calling me and my son all kinds of very nasty names, saying that my soon-to-be husband is going to do to me what he did to her because he's a narcissist who doesn't care who he hurts. I sent her a message saying that I was so sorry that she misunderstood what happened, but I was certainly not a homewrecker, and my precious son is definitely not a bastard. And I asked her to please take down the post. She responded, "No, leave me alone." And I said, "I'm not super inclined to do that unless you remove this unfairly defamatory post." Again, I'm so sorry for any misunderstanding, but he and I didn't start dating until this date. Much to my shock and dismay, she replied with lots and lots of proof that they were indeed still married at that time. I started digging and found his divorce record. It does say that they were not legally divorced until our son was nearly 6 months old. I guess I now understand why he wanted a 2-year-long engagement. So anyway, what in the hell do I do with this info now? If I confront him about it, he will obviously know the info came from her and he will be angry with me for messaging her. I've been trying to pretend like I don't know and that everything is fine, but this is eating me alive. He has obviously lied to me about this before, repeatedly and to my face. So if I confront him, I feel like he's going to lie to me again. I now can't trust him. I don't think he's lied to me about anything else, but if he would lie about this, what else will he lie about? This is a big lie. I do now worry that he will do the same thing to me, like his ex-wife post said. I do also think that there could be or probably is a lot more to the story. Maybe she did cheat first. I don't know at this point. But even if she did, and even if him getting with me was retaliation for her actions, I'm not at all sure that would be enough for me to trust him again moving forward. This is just over, right? I don't know how to get past this at all. I have always told my friends to never date a cheater because how you get them is how you lose them. You never saw divorce papers? That would be the first thing I'd be like, show me your divorce papers. I want proof. Is that pessimistic of me? I don't know, but you naturally want to trust people and think, no, they wouldn't lie to me. But I'm like the opposite side of it. I'm like, no, I need you to prove to me that all this is what you're telling me is true. But it sucks because his mom and his friends did vouch for him, which is shitty. So I definitely know there is more to the story. And it's not just her hypothetically maybe not even cheating. Dude, what do you do in this situation? You have a kid, you're happy he's treated you well, but this life in the past is catching up to him. You're going to feel inclined to eat up whatever BS he feeds you so you can go back to the life you think you had. That's like human nature. You have to consciously dissect what he says and decide if it's worth buying. Don't accept any allegation change that doesn't have tangible evidence behind it. I've changed isn't worth much to years of lies. That's a top comment.
Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor no?
No to what?
We're gonna see.
You could be a little more fucking specific. Asshole wasn't specific enough.
Okay, all right.
I'm joking.
Josh is locking it in. He
no,
thinks
I'm not
is
locking it
an
in.
asshole.
Shut up.
The house across from me sold recently. The prior owners built it and lived in it for almost 50 years. They were lovely people, and they are missed. I didn't meet the new neighbors until recently. They're living there only intermittently while renovations are being done. Anyway, we both live on a very busy, parentheses, double yellow line, street, and while street parking isn't illegal per se, it's definitely dangerous as it is a busy, relatively narrow, high-traffic road.
Okay.
The neighbor's house has a small-ish driveway that can fit maybe 6 cars.
Wow. That's small.
I know, yeah.
What the fuck?
With the setup of the yard, there is really no lawn parking. I, on the other hand, have a very large circular driveway that can probably fit 15 to 20 cars
What are these
if
rich
needed.
motherfuckers?
Yeah, kind of everybody's shitty a little bit for that, for having money.
And
Is all I'm
parking.
saying.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm jealous of your house.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is only one entrance and exit point to the street. So I was out getting my mail the other day, and the neighbor was outside. She came over, introduced herself, and we chatted briefly. Then she said, "May I ask a favor of you?" I laughed and said, "Well, you can ask." Anyway, long story shorter, she said they were having a house party the weekend after 4th of July. They were expecting a large number of people and were hoping they could use my driveway for parking as the street parking is difficult. I said, "Sorry, no, it will block me in. I'm fine with your guests parking on the grass in front of my fence." Parentheses, I have a small fence about 8 foot from the street, and there's a grass strip in front of it. The Smiths, prior house owners, would often use it if they were hosting a large group. She said, "Oh, I appreciate that, but that will only fit about 6 cars. We're going to need parking for another 10 to 12 beyond what fits in my driveway."
What?
That's about like 18 cars.
Yeah, that's a big fucking
Total.
party.
16
You're
to
right, this isn't
18
an
cars.
issue. Well, it is an issue about car culture, but we'll get to that. But like, yeah, there's
Yeah.
still a lot of people.
Yeah,
And no one can
she's
carpool?
not happy with 12 cars.
No way to carpool.
No way to carpool, I guess. Everyone has to come in
There
their
are
separate
other.
cars.
There are
Or
other.
like 100 people are showing up, all in sedans.
Yeah.
100. What is those?
This is a weird.
What are those TikToks like? Little Timmy has a 1 square by 1 square foot room and needs to house 100 family
with galvanized
with
steel.
and 18 cars. And he uses his
Eco-friendly veneer wood. Yeah,
and
I know what you're
galvanized
talking
steel
about.
beams and screws that he got from his aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so funny to me. I love
Jesus.
those. She then says, "Well, my guests can park along the side and back of your driveway so you can still get in and out." I said, "Again, I'm going to have to say no," said no twice. "I'm not comfortable with your guests on my property, and the only light I have at night is my post light out front. It's very dark at night, and I wouldn't want anyone to trip or get hurt."
That's
That
fair.
is valid. It's
That's-
on your
yeah.
property, so yeah.
You'd be liable, yeah.
Yeah. She started to look frustrated and said, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think they can all park on the street." I said, "Yes, I know parking can be frustrating here. There are a couple of municipal buildings nearby. It might be worth calling the town and see if you can use their parking lot since it's a weekend and maybe shuttle people or have them walk. Other than that, I'm not sure. It's one of the downsides of living on a busy street." I then excused myself and went back inside. Now, every time I see her, she kind of gives me a dirty look and says nothing. I don't really care about my neighbor not being neighborly, as we prefer to keep to ourselves anyway. But am I the asshole for not letting her use my driveway for parking?
Nah.
Edit, since many of you have asked, no, she did not invite me to her party.
Wow.
Second edit, a lot of people are amazed by the large driveways. I live in a former farm town that is now a suburb in the U.S.
Okay.
Houses are on 1 to 3 acre lots, usually in the middle, so they all have long driveways to access the house. This is a very, very common in my area and nothing special.
I was taking pictures at a family wedding as a favor. During the formals, the wedding party was great and I got lots of great shots. When it came time to take pictures of different family groups and a couple of people were assholes. They wouldn't stop talking or looking away from the camera. I tried politely reminding everyone that the camera was the big black thing on the tripod and that it took still images, not videos. I was repeatedly told to shut up and stop being a smartass and that they knew what a camera was. I asked my wife to record a video of the responses for me. My cousin was delighted with the pictures from the ceremony, the formals, and the reception. She laughed her ass off at the family pictures. In about half of them, people are looking off in directions instead of at the camera. In most of those, there are also people with their mouths open. I started getting shit on social media from family about the terrible pictures. I replied that I had tried to explain to them that the camera was the big black thing on the tripod and that it only took still pictures. They said I should have waited for them to be ready, so I started posting the short video clips of people being jackasses towards me.